Okie dokie. We are going to do a rapid fire first round mock draft. This list, Brady is picking first. I'm actually going to pick first because Caleb Williams is going first overall, and there's not, frankly, any discussion that needs to be done. Look, I did the worst mock ever, where I'm trying to troll every fan base, and I couldn't figure out what am I going to do with Caleb Williams? Somebody has to take him. I can't
Why
have
do you get the pick first? Why do you get the pick first?
Just to move, so we don't have to have any discussion whatsoever. They did this with Hassel on our mock draft for Wednesday. It's just there doesn't need to be any discussion. The Bears are taking Caleb Williams. Everyone loves him. He's excited. I couldn't even do anything with I couldn't have the Cardinals trade up to 1 and take him, or I thought I actually dreamt last night at one point that I was going to do the Packers trade their first round pick and Jordan Love plus a wide receiver for the number 1 overall pick. And I was like, that's stupid. Why they wouldn't? Neither team would do that. They're not going to do that trade. So, Deuce, that puts you on the clock at number 2. You're the Washington Commanders. Who are you taking?
Jaden Daniels. I think this has been a long time coming. Not as long as Caleb going 1 overall, but with offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury being there, I just think it makes a lot of sense with Jaden Daniels' skill set. Now, some weird reports coming out of there with the 22 guys that had visited all at one time, and supposedly Jaden Daniels' agent didn't like that. Jaden hasn't come out and said anything, but I just think it makes too much sense. I don't think that's going to deter the Commanders from taking Jaden Daniels 2 overall.
Brady, by the way, I don't know if you saw it. We were texting about the reactive predictive odds. So, they shortened down to the point where they were basically both minus 115 to your second overall. And now it's going all the way back up to Jaden Daniels minus 350 to go second overall. It's wild just to see that swing. You can tell that that's reactive, because if it were predictive, then it wouldn't have changed. That's how you know it's reactive.
So it's not predictive right now. Is that what you're saying?
It's reactive to the market and to the room. The markets are reactive.
So what would the Caleb Williams one be? That's minus 20,000.
Well, that's just reactive to the fact that he's going first overall.
Oh, okay. So it's not predictive, though.
I mean, it is predictive in the sense that it reacts and then predicts.
All right.
All right. Who's going third overall?
I've got the 3rd pick, and it's the New England Patriots, but there's a trade. The Minnesota Vikings are trading with the New England Patriots up to number 3.
Makes sense.
New England Patriots get Minnesota's number 11 and number 23 in 2024. And they also get Minnesota's first-round pick in 2025. The Vikings are selecting quarterback Drake May out of North Carolina.
Okay. Harry has to select a bunch. He's on NFL Mock Draft Database Simulator. He had to select a bunch of stuff to get it enough to make that mock trade. Look, I like that move by Minnesota. The connection with Josh McCown, obviously there, makes a ton of sense. And I think the Patriots, frankly, are in a position where they should consider trading out of 3, getting a haul of picks, and trying to sort of restart. But again, I think they're so desperate with the post-Belichick stuff, it won't happen. Dudes, you're on the clock at number 4. You're Monty Ossenford. Are you going to answer any of the calls, because your phone is blowing up? 3 quarterbacks off the board with J.J. McCarthy there. Also, of course, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, and there's rumors he's not going to take any calls until draft day to maximize what they could potentially get to potentially move back. But I think with a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. on the board, you need somebody to be a true X receiver out there for Kyler Murray. I think he's just too good of a prospect to trade back unless it's just a boatload of picks for somebody trying to get up for a quarterback. So I think the Cardinals stay pat and take Marvin Harrison Jr.
Okay. Brady, you are on the clock at number 5. You are Jim Harbaugh.
We talked about this earlier. You feel like it's not going to happen. I think it is going to happen. I think the LA Chargers, sitting at number 5, just picked up the phone, and Tom Telesco, a familiar voice, is on the other end, is on the other line, and they're saying, hey, we're willing to give you our 13th overall pick in the first round this year, our number 44 overall pick, our second-round pick, our 2025 first-round pick, and our 2025 third-round pick in order to move up. In order to move up to get Michael Penix Jr. at number 5.
Wait, Michael Penix Jr.?
Yes.
At 5?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Take that.
Okay, okay. Now, that's an interesting discussion to have. Do you think that Harbaugh would say you can come up, but you can't draft J.J. McCarthy?
Yes. That's what I think is going to happen in this case. They're probably going to be like, hey, well, who's it for? And they're like, Michael Penix. All right.
But you know, like I also wonder, like, is that even enforceable? Could you be like,
it's
like
probably not, but in this specific hypothetical that we're going through that we're so excited about.
Well, see, now this changes everything. If you're telling me that they get 13, because I think if you're the Chargers, you're like, look, not only like we have Justin Herbert, we know we upgraded the coaching staff, we have enough talent on this team to like we feel like we're a better team than the Raiders. You could deliver them 2 L's that push them down and push your draft pick up for next year, and feel like you could really get a big pick with that, and like end up with 2
which is
really
again
nice picks.
one of the reasons why I think this trade within the division is possible. Jim Harbaugh feels confident about his ability after beating Michael Penix in the national championship game and having that defensive game plan to beat him, that he would allow the Las Vegas Raiders, who need a quarterback, to go up to 5 to take one. And in this case, yes, there's other needs for the Raiders, and maybe they could have waited back. But once Penix got to this point, I've got them hypothetically trading up to take him. You got Minshew as the backup. But yeah, look, I love Michael Penix's tape. I think he had the second best tape of everyone to Jaden Daniels this past year. People keep talking about like who's going to be the next CJ Stroud. Well, Michael Penix Jr.'s tape from his final year at Washington is what most closely mimics CJ Stroud. The only difference is he didn't cap off his career with the best game of his career like Stroud did versus Georgia, even though it wasn't a loss. That's the most unfortunate part, I think, for Michael Penix Jr., given how well he played the last 2 years.
Man, so you have Penix Jr. By the way, Penix Jr. at FanDuel, his over-under is 32.5. The under is minus 270. And you can't parlay it to get the number down. But I mean, if that thing drifts down to like 28 or something like that and gets the normal juice, or like 25.5, I think it's a smash play. He's going top 15, isn't he?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
I think he is for sure.
It's not hypothetical, Will. I wouldn't take it too seriously. I know you guys love this time of year and take these mock drafts so serious now.
I mean, you just had the Raiders trade up to take Michael Penix Jr. over JJ McCarthy. Like that would be Spice City, a trade up inside the division to not take JJ McCarthy.
Surprising.
All right.
I was trying to make part of the conversation from earlier in today's show kind of weave.
I love it.
Yeah,
you're doing a great job. You're killing it. You're crushing it. All right, dudes, you're on the clock with the Giants. Are you?
I mean, this is
taking JJ.
Talked about earlier, Brady, right? The Giants can stay pat and potentially get their quarterback of the future. They select JJ McCarthy. Yes, I know they could take a receiver here, but I just think with Joe Shane and Brian Dable not having their handprint on a quarterback yet and selecting one, I think it makes too much sense for them to take JJ McCarthy in this spot.
All right, now Brady, you are the Titans, and I think that this is the scenario where Joe Alt is there, but they would consider Malik Neighbors. I think they would consider him at 7.
They definitely would, but in this case, they're not, because they've got Joe Alt and they need some protection. Okay, they've got some wide receivers I think they feel good about, and they could get some of those wide receivers too in subsequent rounds. But you're not going to be able to find another left tackle like Joe Alt. So Joe Alt is the pick here for the Tennessee Titans. I would say up there next to Marvin Harrison is the best overall prospect in this draft.
And worth noting too, Brian Callahan, the new Titans coach, brought his dad, Bill Callahan, with him.
Yeah.
Bill Callahan's the best offensive line coach in the league, maybe ever in the league. And if he's like, go get Joe Alt, I mean, Brian's gonna be like, all right, let's get Joe Alt. This guy can be a difference maker for the franchise. Sort of like, you're sort of rebooting it like you did with Taylor Lewan in previous years. Dudes, you are on the clock. You are the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I mean, I think you tried to do this during our mock draft prep call, but a little bit of a this is a bit of a homerific trade here, right? You're like the Jets are moving up for cheap. Is that what we're doing?
Well, you got to think about it. Just last year, the Patriots gave up only a 4th to move up 2 spots. We're not moving up from like 8 or 9 spots like Brady was. We're moving up 2 spots. So, I mean, put it in a simulator and see if it makes sense. We want to give up pick 135 and 186 of this year's draft to see if we can move up 2 spots.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. So,
do realize it doesn't really matter what the simulator plays, because if they're moving up to take
can you go back? Can you go back one, Harry, and see if I was just going to see what it said. If they gave up 111, how about that? Give up 111.
Okay, yeah, I'll give up 111.
Okay, yeah. That's 1 4th-round pick, and it said basically dead even. So I mean, like that, you're right. That
exactly. If you're the Falcons, that's what I'm saying. When you're only moving up 2 spots, you only have to give up around a 4th-round pick. So, yes, we know Malik Neighbors is still on the board and Rome Odunze, and this would be great for the Jets, you would think, if it actually happens like this on draft day. But I think the Jets are more concerned about the Bears essentially taking Rome Odunze. So they trade up with the Atlanta Falcons and take Rome Odunze with the number 8 overall pick.
And I've got the Chicago Bears with the number 9 pick, and I am
there's buzz, some troll buzz going on that Pete's who they should take mock is quote unquote an embarrassment and quote unquote they can't believe it was greenlit and Pete is lashing out. I mean, have you know? So feel free to let him know that it's terrible. You got the Falcon, you got the Bears, excuse me, or the Wait, no, you're the.
I'm with the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, he's the Bears,
and you're going Roma Dunze, I assume.
Well, no, I just took Roma Dunze.
He just took Roma Dunze.
Malik Neighbors is still there. Okay, yeah, that's weird.
Oh, geez. I mean, Will, you're the worst to do a mock draft with. My God. Ryan Poles is sprinting to the table to put in the name Malik Neighbors at number 9 overall for the Chicago Bears. Easy selection. Some would say, like Pete, that they feel like he's the best wide receiver in this draft class. He's got some wiggle to him. I know they've got Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, but Keenan Allen's getting up there in years. And think about supplying Caleb Williams, Malik Neighbors, DJ Moore, and Keenan Allen. That's going to be helpful in building this franchise back up.
Yep. No doubt about it. Dudes, you are the Falcons now at number 10, having traded down. And this is sort of the logic, right? You can trade down 2 spots and your guy's still there, Dallas Turner.
Still get your guy, Dallas Turner. I know everybody's mocked him to him. We were just talking about this, Brady. Would not be surprised if Byron Murphy was like number 6 on their big board, that they take Byron Murphy. But I'm going to go with the edge guy because I think he fits in Raheem Morris's scheme perfectly, what he's going to ask his edge guys to do in regards to dropping and getting after the quarterback. So Dallas Turner, we gained some draft capital, just moved 2 spots back, and we still get our guy.
Brady continues to play and trade with himself. You are now on the clock with the Patriots.
Well, I would have traded with Leger, but like the rules weren't really out there, and I was just kind of like, it'd be easier just to trade with myself and figure this out. So New England finally makes their first round pick after trading back from the number 3 spot with Minnesota. Surprised this guy's still on the board. Some people might feel like this is a bit rich for this spot, but J.C. Latham out of Alabama.
I love it, actually.
Building up the offensive line. Love his tape. Love his ability. It's not always the sexiest picking an offensive tackle at this spot. There's some other spots they're going to fill, but they do have some more picks left in this first round.
There's no chance the Chargers take J.C. Latham, is there?
No, not if Joe Alt's still there. I don't think so.
Well, but they would kick Slater over to the right side if they took Alt?
No, Alt's going to the right side.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So, like, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I like that pick too, Brady. The only thing is they did pay Michael Winu a lot of money to play right tackle, but I think J.C. Latham does have the ability to slide inside. I know you were getting after Pete about that, but I also think he's athletic enough where you may be able to try him at left tackle too.
Versatility, try to get the best 5 out there.
Yeah. Correct.
All right. Broncos, dudes, you're on the clock. Is this a Michael Penix situation?
No, it's not. I don't. To me, I think Bo Nix fits better in that system and J.J. McCarthy. To me, they still have so many.
Oh, McCarthy's still out there. Oh, no, McCarthy got taken. Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, McCarthy got taken 6 overall. Come on, Will.
You guys have done like 40
trades. This thing if you're not on it.
Worst to do a mock draft with, Will. My gosh.
You got to start typing it in as the names go.
We are.
So if you're Denver, Brady, and you're in this scenario, you're going to try like hell to trade back, right? The only thing is, when you look at the next couple of teams behind you, there's still a lot of good offensive tackles. Most teams try to trade up for tackles. Top 3 receivers are gone. So you might be stuck at this spot and not be able to trade back if you're the Denver Broncos. I'm going to take one of the best edge rushers because I think they need some help on the edge. I'm going to take Jared Verse.
All right. Jared Verse out of Florida State. That puts you on the clock with the Chargers, Brady, having traded down.
That's correct. The LA Chargers trading back from the number 5 spot with the Las Vegas Raiders. We've heard Jim Harbaugh talk about wanting to beef up that offensive line. I've got them going with an offensive lineman here. We talked about what would they do with Rashawn Slater. I think Talise Fuaga ends up kicking over the right tackle spot. So I'm going to help protect Justin Herbert. I feel like we probably could have looked at a wide receiver too at this spot, but still some time to, I think, grab a wide receiver that can help us out.
I would be shocked if the Chargers' first pick is not an offensive lineman, and that puts Dues on the clock with the Saints, who, by the way, are just going to finish 7-9 or somewhere between 7-9 and 9-7 for the next 10 years. Like just let's go ahead and just simulate the season, New Orleans.
Yeah. So when you look at this, Brady, I think there could be upwards to 8, maybe even scratching 9 offensive tackles off the board, but they're all kind of in tiers. And most of the top tier ones are gone except for one. And the Saints need an offensive tackle in the worst way. Ryan Ramczyk most likely won't be able to start the season because of injury. And Trevor PENIX has really struggled. I'm going to go Troy Fontenot out of Washington, a guy that has position flexibility, but I believe he could be a really good offensive tackle in the league.
All right, Brady, you are the Colts. You are Chris Ballard or Jim Irsay, I guess.
Yeah, and I've got still a defensive player that I feel like is one of the best in this draft class. Number of spots we could go here, but Quinion Mitchell, I think, would be a great addition to our secondary. Yep, so that's where I'm going with the number 15 overall pick for the Colts.
Brock Bowers starting to fall.
I mean, I think this is the area where he might actually get taken, though.
Yeah, that's reasonable. You're the Seahawks, dudes.
I'm taking the best defensive player in the draft. He's still on the board right now. Byron Murphy.
No complaints there. Especially if you think the Rams might try to take him a few picks later. Yeah, you're Seattle.
We know Brady was waiting for that.
And by the way, like Rick Spielman on the call.
So, this is exactly what happened yesterday. Tell him, Will.
Yeah, he was like, Rick's like, hey, dudes, I want to trade up to, and dudes like, no, I know you're coming to get. I'm going to draft him. He's like, I'll give you a fourth.
I know exactly who you're coming to get.
He's like, I'll give you a fourth. The dude's is like, no. He's like, how about a third? Dude's like, no. He's like, how about a second? It's like, what are you doing? Like, it's like trading in the division on a mock draft because you want Byron Murphy
in the division. That's not happening.
Here's what I want Will to do. Will, scroll back up to the working document and read the asterisk and what it says. All right. At the beginning of the draft, Will. I'm following his cursor as he goes up.
Denotes a potential trade if a specific player is still available.
Okay, so go back down to the number 17 overall pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You notice the small asterisk there?
Yeah.
So clearly the Rams were trying to work out, facilitate a trade with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And it was going to be for one Byron Murphy, but he just got swept from out underneath my rug. So we've got to regroup here. If you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, a number of spots we can go.
Really good corner still out there.
Yeah, I know. Man, I just really had that trade in the back of my mind. Probably could go. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna stick with the trade. The Rams.
Oh, really?
The Rams on their board have a player they feel really good about. Not quite as good as Byron Murphy.
I know where you're going.
But they're going with Johnny Newton. All right. Yep. They're staying in the interior of the defensive line, trying to replace what they've lost in Aaron Donald. And we feel like there's a drop-off from Byron Murphy and John Newton to the next group. So it'll be Johnny Newton with the pick for the Los Angeles Rams, trading up with the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're going to move back a couple spots.
Okay, cool. So that asterisk that you put up there, and then condescendingly explained to me, ended up being completely irrelevant because they traded up anyway, despite the player not being there. Good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. All right, dudes, you're on the clock at 18 with the Bengals.
You're a terrible
So
person.
many ways I could go here. Could go offensive line. They did sign Trent Brown to a 1-year deal, but they could still use an offensive tackle. Could go corner here as well. They do have DJ Turner, who had some struggles last year, and I love Taylor Britt on the other side. They still got Mike Hilton in the inside, but I think they could use a corner too. So I'm going to go Terrion Arnold for the Bengals at 18.
All right. That puts Brady on the clock with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Who probably would have taken
with the Rams. Jaguars going to take Brock Bowers?
The Jaguars, they've got Evan Ingram, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, and Britton Strange.
I'm not sure that it's a need for them. Honestly, looking at the roster, I think you could make probably a case for a cornerback. That's a position that we looked at a decent amount. Mm-hmm. But we also feel like we'd like
Trent Baalke. You and Trent Baalke just gazing at depth charts, looking at draft boards.
What's that? Excuse me.
Dude's just farting in press conferences and moving along. Like that's when you know it's time to retire and call it like maybe you're not as locked in as you need to be when you were ripping farts during a press conference. Just be like, excuse me, like what? Like no, I'm running for the door.
This is one that might be a little controversial, but I feel like if we don't exercise the pick for this particular player now, We don't feel like he's going to be there. It's going to be A.D. Mitchell at wide receiver.
I like that.
Didn't get Calvin Ridley back. He's still on the board for us. We really like what we feel like he can be.
I'm not mad at that.
All right, that puts Dues on the clock with the Steelers.
And the Steelers are probably going to run this in. I'm taking Brian Thomas at receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You did that, or maybe BMAC did that yesterday. I guess Omar Khan.
Well, yeah, I did that in my original perfect draft for the Steelers.
I mean, they need receiver help. You just don't ever see receivers in the first round. But again, different regime. Kevin Colbert, Omar Khan obviously worked underneath him. Brady, you have the Dolphins, and producer Harry has already penciled your pick in. He's so confident in it.
Kind of did.
I'm definitely not. Considering that Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips.
They're both coming off major injuries, though.
True, but they've also invested some money there. So I'm actually going with a different spot. Jackson Powers Johnson, Tua Tagovailoa can't throw off his back. So we're going to have to shore up the interior of the offensive line. Bit of a drop-off, too, for some of the interior offensive line players to the next guy. So Jackson Powers Johnson goes to the Dolphins at number 21.
There's been some rumors, Brady, that he might slip. There could potentially be something with his knee and then some off the field stuff. But I'm not sure. Talent-wise,
rumors that players might be slipping. There's been rumors that players might be going up. There's been rumors that there's medical. There's rumors that there's not medical. There's rumors that there's teams trading up, trading back, and us staying put and taking picks. That's where we're at. We're 2 days before the draft, Leger.
Facts. That's 100% true.
All right, that will put Dues on the clock with the Philadelphia Eagles. You're telling me that freaking Howie, all I do is draft Dogs Roseman isn't going to stop the Brock Bowers slide here with Dallas Goedert being in his mid-30s? Come on, this is where it's happening.
He's not in his mid-30s.
He's early 30s. That's mid-30s.
I thought he was late 20s. Nah, I'm definitely not taking Brock Bowers here.
Why do people hate Bowers? I love Brock Bowers. Dallas
He's a hell of a player. I'm just not taking him.
I'm absolutely wrong. Dallas Goedert's 29. I'm wrong. Sorry.
That's what I'm saying. I thought he was in his 20s. Yeah, you tripping. The Philadelphia Eagles had a debacle in the secondary last year. Their corners are getting up there. You want to talk about age? Their corners are getting up there in age. I'm going to go with a guy that has position flexibility in Cooper DeJean, who can play safety, who can play corner, who can play in the slot as well.
Okay. That puts Brady on the clock with the Minnesota Vikings for
That's not true.
Oh, no, so you're the New England Patriots. I'm sorry. Just relax.
Just read the working document, Will. It's all there in the working document. Do your homework, Will.
Oh, you traded with the Patriots on the clock at 23.
This is a tough pick because I think you're now talking about that territory where you could potentially get a team that wants to trade up, take a quarterback, get the fifth-year option. Clearly, that's going to be a need for the New England Patriots. Do they love Bo Nix? Do they not? That's kind of a big question mark for me. I think I look at a couple of the players that's a need for them on this roster. Wide receiver position is one that we've got to address. We took J.C. Latham earlier. In this case, then, I'm going to go with Xavier Legette out of South Carolina, bigger body wide receiver that I think might surprise some people, but could potentially develop into that number one overall wide receiver.
By the way, his over-under 33.5 at FanDuel, the under minus 108. You think that's pretty good value to get him going in the first round, or do you think he falls? I mean, he could obviously possibly fall to the Panthers, but I mean.
I think there's again, we don't know what all these teams know in regards to medical, in regards to the interview process and what they're valuing, what they're not. Like a guy like him and Lad McConkey, who I also contemplate in this spot, I love their tape. Yet we seem to be enamored on the outside with Xavier Worthy's speed. Is that somebody who factors in there too? I don't know. It all depends on what the team's looking for, what they feel like they're getting in that player. So, I'm looking at this more as, hey, we're the New England Patriots. They've taken quarterbacks in the second round in previous years. But we talked about the scenario before. They've got to find a guy at some point, unless it's Jacoby Brissett. Maybe they feel like they can accomplish that in the second round.
By the way, in Pete's what they should do mock draft, he says they should take Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams for whatever that's worth. So that's why Pete's being killed for this mock draft. All right. Moving along, we don't need to talk about Pete's mock draft. We've got our mock draft to handle, so we will put Dues on the clock with the Cowboys.
They definitely need some help on the offensive line. Could go Graham Barton, who has position flexibility, but I'm going to go Amaris Mims, right? Because it'll allow you Tyler Smith to keep him at guard, which I think he can be. Ain't no think. He's been an all-pro guard. He could be a really good tackle, but I think he's an all-pro guard. So I'm going to go Amaris Mims. Amarius Mims.
Okay, Brady, you are up with the Green Bay Packers.
All right. Sorry, I'm just locking this in here.
Hey, why don't you check out the working document and try?
I've got 2 working documents right now, Will, as I'm trying to keep track of who I've got slotted that I'm looking at and who's still left. So the Green Bay Packers, looking at what we've got here, Nate Wiggins at cornerback would be a position that we just feel like he's a heck of a player. It's probably too good to pass up at this point. However, we feel like there's maybe some offensive linemen too that aren't going to fall to the second round like we're thinking here. But we're looking at the tackle spot too. But again, a lot of guys who played right tackle, not so much left tackle.
Oh my God. We got Olu Fashanu still on the board.
Yeah.
And that's why, I can't believe we've let this go this far. And that's going to lead to Olu Fashanu.
Fashanu, yeah.
We're going to take at Green Bay Packers, obviously replacing.
I mean, there's like 35 or 40 guys who could be first round picks. Some guys are going to fall out of the virtue of like the way that, especially in this particular mock draft, we've seen a lot of receivers go. And if that happens, if the receivers go, it's going to push some tackles down the board. If the tackles go, it's going to push the receivers down the board. So that to me is the most interesting component of this draft.
It's not even that. If you do enough mock drafts, what you find yourself doing is like losing yourself into the who's there, who's available. What am I thinking if I'm in that position, that team? And you're trying to look for perfect fits. I think oftentimes, and I said this earlier about the J.C. Latham pick with the Patriots, I love his film. I think he's one of the best players in this draft overall. And I think there's a thought that we'll just move the left tackle. It's not that easy. You need to be able to maybe have a veteran player who could take the time to work on that while the rookie's just working on getting down the offense, getting down his personal life, getting down that transition you're making at a position that he's familiar with, right? So in this particular case, Olu is a perfect fit for what I feel like Green Bay needs, and he's the best player available in my opinion.
Okay, that puts Dues on the clock with the Bucks.
Well, our producer Harry wanted this guy with the Miami Dolphins, but I think he would be a perfect fit with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Latu, to me, has a veteran type game already, probably the best edge guy in regards to rushing with a plan, and has the best hand usage in this draft. Now, the big question with him, Brady, is the medical. Anytime you get a neck fusion, people are going to question how long are you going to be healthy enough to play this game. But if everything clears out, I have no problem around this part of the draft taking Latu.
And Brady, you're up with the Cardinals. This Brock Bowers thing is insane. They have Trey McBride. So I don't know if that's
a good spot for him.
Yeah.
No, and look, again, there's a number of players that are still on the board that I kind of mocked up here, not expecting Brock Bowers to be there. I fully expected Leger to take him with one of his selections. So I wasn't.
I expected you to take Olu with one of yours. I didn't even think he was on the board still.
Well, I eventually got to him, but same thing with some of the teams that I had. I was just like, it's not going to be really a fit at that point.
Yeah.
So now we're to Arizona. I feel like it'd be pretty incredible to be able to get a couple of playmakers out of this draft, like Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brock Bowers. So I am going to make the pick. I know they've got Trey McBride. Maybe they feel more confident about a 2 tight end system moving forward, running the football with James Conner. And that being a more, potent offense moving forward for them. I had a couple other players in consideration, but Bowers is too good to pass up on in this case.
By the way, it was really intriguing. By the way, I think if Bowers fell, would either the Bills or the Chiefs, who we think want a pass catcher, obviously they have Dalton Kincaid and Travis Kelce, 2 very good tight ends already. But I'm just saying,
Bills got 2 good tight ends.
Yeah, but 2 very different tight ends. I just wonder, would a team that is in need of a receiver, but really could Bowers, you can move all around. I don't know. I think it's interesting if he fell this far. I think somebody would make a trade up for him. All right.
To me, that's actually a good spot. The OC, it comes from Cleveland and Stefanski tree, so they like you said, Brady, they like the 2 tight end sets. Yeah. So I think him and Trey McBride would fit perfectly together in Arizona.
All right, you're up with the Bills, dudes.
Harry, hit the receiver tab for me real quick. Yeah, I know people expect the Bills to take receiver, but just listening to Brandon Beane the other day, if they don't trade up, I could see them passing on a receiver at this spot just because I think they need help on the edge as well. I think Chop Robinson makes a lot of sense for the Bills. My guy Von Miller's getting up there in age. Who better to learn behind for a year and then eventually take over? I know they got Russo, and I think they re-signed Epineza, but I think they could use a little bit more juice on the edge.
All right, that puts Brady on the clock. Brady, I believe you had a trade built in here. You have since rescinded the trade?
I've rescinded the trade because this player is still on the board. We kept getting calls from Carolina who wanted to move up into the first round and get some dynamic playmakers. But remember, they do sit at the top of the second round. So in this case, we just hung up the phone, all right? And we said, we're going to put in Laiatu Latu with the 29th overall pick.
He was already drafted.
Yeah, so 26. Remember Tampa?
How did I miss this?
You were probably a bit too busy correcting me for not paying attention.
I actually think I was that particular pick. Correcting you for it.
You still want the trade, or you gonna take that corner?
Man,
I can see Brad Holmes going with like cool.
No, there's two corners here that haven't come off the board. Nate Wiggins is one, and obviously Cooley
Ennis Rakestraw too.
I know you're big on Ennis Rakestraw. I'm looking at Cooley McKinstry here, though. I'm just a little higher on this guy. We talked about it earlier in it, so that's the direction I'm going to go with the cornerback spot here.
And worth noting, Brad Holmes just said all this like all season. He's like, I am a cornerback like tape watching, like that is my jam. That is like what I love to do more than anything. I don't know if he said savant. I think he said basically like he's a junkie. And so I could see him certainly going cornerback there. Dudes, you're on the clock with the Ravens.
Yeah, I think I know where I want to go here, but I just want Harry to hit that offensive tackle tab just to make sure my guy's still there. Yeah, Tyler Guyton. I think he fits perfectly with what the Baltimore Ravens want to do. Morgan Moses got traded away. Now, they did take Daniel Falalele a few years ago, but I think Tyler Guyton has a higher upside than him.
Gosh, dang it. So far, Dude's been picking some players that we've been looking at, so it's not good.
Well, that puts you on the clock with the Niners. So you were to go Guyton there as sort of like the future Trent Williams replacement.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing is
not that anybody can replace Trent Williams.
I think McKivic's really because he's only on a 1-year deal.
Yeah, it's more about where he needs to play right now. That's our immediate need is the right side. Wiggins is still on the board, correct? Yeah,
Wiggins is still on the board. Graham Barton,
Graham Barton's on the board. Graham Barton, I feel like is going to end up being more of an interior player here. That could be, one we feel like is useful, kind of swinging around, putting on the inside or interior of the offensive line. I feel like we still need cornerback help, though. So I'm going to go with Nate Wiggins. I just think he's too good to pass up on this spot. You look at what happened in the Super Bowl. I mean, you got to have the coverage players on the outside. At times, that secondary is decimated with injuries, and they struggled at times to be able to cover.
All right. And, Deuce, wrap us up with the Chiefs.
So many ways they could go. They could go offensive tackle here. They can go receiver. Could Carolina, in this instance, Brady try to call them and move up just in case they want a receiver? But because you have Patrick Mahomes, I think a more, significant need for this team is offensive tackle. I'm going Jordan Morgan to lock up that left side. I think he'll have a really good camp battle with Wanye Morris to determine who's going to be the left tackle this year. Both of those tackles struggled last year in the Chiefs system. I think Jordan Morgan makes too much sense. The last pick of the first round.
That'd be fun. I think it'd be fun if the Bills took defense and then the Chiefs took a tackle. I feel like fans would revolt. People just like, they have to take a wide receiver. It's like, no, they don't. I mean, the Rashee Rice thing is a problem. He's going to be suspended, but like they just won the Super Bowl 2 years in a row without any good wide receivers. Like,
correct.
They don't have to take a wide receiver,
and there's still going to be good value in the second round.